So this is Lalo Alvarez on YouTube. Adam, I have a question for you regarding non-fermentable sugar. Lactose is usually used in stouts, but as you mentioned, some folks don't want that in their beer. Have you heard of anyone using monk fruit sweetener? And then Rob Rasmussen on YouTube said, will monk fruit add viscosity to a beer? Has anyone had experience using maltodextrose to increase body? And if so, does it negatively affect flavor? I'm going to say a few different things on this one. Yeah, just the idea of keeping lactose out of a beer. When I can, I do like to keep lactose out of a beer because it does exclude a certain portion of the population from being able to drink that beer. And I like to have as wide a range of people being able to drink my beer, and you don't want to miss anybody, right? You want to be you want to be super accessible. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of one of those situations where lactose does bring some nice things to the table. It does bring a nice body. I do think it kind of has its own flavor as well. It blends up really well in those darker beers. It gives a little bit of creaminess, some softness, some roundness to a beer. So I see what you're saying when the conversation kind of then turns toward monk fruit and then also toward maltodextrin. First of all, monk fruit is interesting, and as David P mentioned, Dogfish Head did do a monk fruit beer, and it was like a low cal beer. It's also like a keto type product because it's very sweet tasting and can add sweetness to something, but it doesn't have any actual sugar carbs along with it. And it is known to have some body to it. So when I was researching this question, I pulled up this stuff because I am currently eating keto. And so I'm like, well, maybe I'll get like something to mess around with at the house, use it as a sweetener, try it out. Like, see, like use it in my coffee. Does it bring body? Even with coffee, right? Something that might sound kind of silly, but we tried to figure it out, right? And I looked at it, and the stuff's not cheap, man. And so it kind of made me wonder, and maybe it's why it hasn't swept the nation. Is monk fruit does seem to be, or those, they have like extracts, concentrates, powders. It's not cheap stuff, but that is one of the nice things about brewing on the homebrew side is your batches are smaller. And so, I mean, cost really relatively isn't an issue. So yeah, I would encourage you to give that stuff a shot, and see how much body and sweetness that does bring in. I'm still thinking about getting it and even just like dissolving some in a small amount of beer and then pouring some more beer on top of it and then just kind of side by siding it because I am interested. But that's as far as my knowledge goes on monk fruit. But jumping back to maltodextrin, I was talking to a brewer buddy recently, and I'm like, "Hey, man, I don't know about maltodextrin. It raises the final gravity of my beers. Yeah, okay, it'll always raise the final gravity, but I'll be damned if you can perceive. To me, the body is not perceptible. And I think sometimes we just put things in, we're like, oh, then we taste it because we know we put it in. But dude, every time I measure those things, the finishing gravities are always higher. And blind, you wouldn't guess they're as high as what they are. I don't know what it is. Lactose is different, man. You jack a beer up on lactose, and you know that it's there. You see it in the density when you measure the density of the beer, and you can tell on the palate, right? But to me, maltodextrin just doesn't do it. I don't know. I'm not a huge. I'm not huge on it. But anyways, other people have other results with it. So, and smart people. So, give it a shot.
All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching. If you feel as if you got any value out of the video, please like and subscribe. There are also other videos that you can watch. They're gonna maybe be over here or over here. Appreciate you watching.